What is up, guys? So I want to go ahead and answer a question that I keep getting. Should I buy an old flagship in 2020, and why I promote them? So a lot of people ask me why I promote these old phones sometimes. So we look at a lot of budget phones, but we also look at a lot of older budget flagships, I guess you would call them. And I'm going to explain why you should go with these phones in 2020 and why you shouldn't be scared. I see a lot of people kind of scared to buy like an older flagship for some reason. I think it's kind of like a psychological thing, honestly, because, you'd be scared to buy the G7. I see people scared to buy it just because the G8 is out. And it's just kind of weird because you really got to pay attention to the specifications and stuff like that. And it's usually people that don't really know a whole bunch about specs and phones and stuff. So I'm going to answer all these questions and why I kind of recommend these phones over a lot of, budget phones that are around, even mid-range phones that are in like that $300, $400 price point. You really don't have to buy those phones in 2020 because these phones are really sufficient for what you're trying to do. All right, so for example, let's look at the Galaxy A51. This is a mid-range phone around $300. Let's look at that price, $284 on Amazon right now. So if I go ahead and look at something like the LG G8, which technically isn't a budget, it isn't a old budget phone because there's no G9 yet. But as you can see, the G8 comes in at $298, so $284, $298 for the G8. That's not a huge price difference here for the renewed version of the G8, and you're getting a much better phone. So the reason why I recommend these budget phones or budget flagships over these kind of like new mid-range phones is because the specs are more powerful and it caters to what a lot of people are looking for. So I notice a lot of people are looking for a gaming phone, something that they can play games on. With that base model A51, you're not going to be able to play Fortnite on that phone. You're not going to be able to play at the highest settings. This phone you will be able to play. You have the Snapdragon 855. It's a very good processor in a lot of flagships. You also have 6 gigs of RAM, so it's a very fast. This one has Android 10, so as you can see, same price, but you're getting two completely different performances. And with a lot of these older flagships, you can see there's a huge hardware difference as well. Plastic and you have glass and metal, so it does make a difference when you're just feeling the phone in your hand. It definitely feels more premium, and 9 times out of 10 the cameras are actually better on these older flagships still. So you guys gotta remember, even though some of these phones came out in late 2018, early 2019, these are still really capable phones, and they have pretty much every feature that you could want. Again, let's do another price match. So a phone that I love, $200 budget phone, the Galaxy A20. Let's do a price match with that. So we're gonna go to Amazon, Galaxy A20, the original one, $197, $200 still, so still around that $200 price point. And we look at the LG V40, as we can see, it's $214 for the renewed version. So if you guys have seen my reviews of both these phones, you'll know that the V40 is definitely a more superior phone than the A20 in almost every way. Processor, cameras, hardware, you can pretty much do everything on this phone, play games at high, but it's at $214 and you can't do half of that stuff on the A20. So this is why I recommend these budget phones, because you're getting such a great deal. Even if you're an iPhone user, the iPhone 7 is at a really great deal right now. I think it's at less than $150 right now. It's a very good phone, runs the latest version of iOS, so there's no need to really kind of waste money on a newer mid-range phones. And the problem I see with a lot of people is that they don't want to buy a renewed phone, I guess, because they're scared that it might be beat up hardware. But I've never had a problem with that on Amazon, and if you go on eBay, you can always get a really good nice looking phones. But as far as Amazon goes, I've never had a problem with beat up phones or hardware being all messed up. So you do get that 30 days return window on Amazon, so I've never had a problem with that. All my phones renewed have came really great. I say it all the time, they're supposed to, for these renewed versions, they're supposed to replace the outside of the device and they keep the internal, so they replace the screen and the back and all that stuff. That's what they're supposed to do, and I've never had an issue with that at all. So definitely that's one of the main reasons why you would want to get an older flagship phone over a $200 or even a mid-range phone. It really just comes down to what you want. Something like the Bold M1 which is kind of unique in its own right because it's got that full screen display. A lot of older flagships don't have that. This is a reason to go with this is a reason to go with a budget phone. It's because you have a full screen display. None of these phones have that. If you're, sold on media and stuff like that, you just want to watch videos, in full screen, that's going to be awesome. So this is a good reason why it's very unique for the price. Now, there are phones that I would spend a little extra money on instead of an older flagship or a $200 phone is the Galaxy S10e. Phones like this that have an exceptional camera on here. I really love the camera on here. I love the size. They don't make compact phones like these really anymore. So that's why this is kind of unique. So if it's kind of unique and it stands out, then definitely it's going to be worth picking up. But these have excellent cameras on here. And as you can see, the price for 368, it's not too bad. You can find these even cheaper if you want to get a little risky and bid on eBay. But yeah, phones like these, okay, it justifies, the price sometimes, because I really love this phone. Like I said, it's got great cameras, the best out of all these phones. Even even the 7 Pro that I use, I usually go to this camera, and it's up there, up there with the Galaxy, with the new phones like the iPhone 11s, up there with those phones. So really nice for the price if you're really into like taking pictures and stuff and you want the best. But all these phones are great for all of that stuff, so I just wanted to clear that up. I'm not just recommending older phones just to be recommending them. There is a reason behind it. A lot of these phones, especially LG, will be getting Android 10, so even software is starting to be supported on these, budget flagships. So what do you guys think about this? Be sure to let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.